Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerfherder Council.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're live at those three locations every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to catch video replays of the show, just check out our YouTube channel. And while you are there, do not forget to click the like and subscribe button so that you're notified every single time that we go live, such as shows like tonight or our special WTF Friday shows. If you'd like to download the audio version of the podcast, just Google Nerfherder Council Podcast, and we are everywhere. We are like a bad penny. We always turn up. And of course, we are sponsored by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC. I threw myself off there. All right, guys, I blew it already. audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And don't forget that you can go get your own customized Nerfherder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. So let me bring on a couple people that actually can talk on a microphone, Mr. AJ and Mr. Steve. What is up, guys? How about that for a crappy intro?
You're
better than me, so don't worry about it, man.
I threw myself off with that bad penny remark.
Yeah. I did chuckle at it, so we'll take that.
Cheap laughs better than no laughs, right?
Exactly.
So, all right. So on this episode, AJ, you had a good idea, man. Celebration is coming up. We are, hard to believe, less than 2 months from Celebration already. It's getting so close. And you actually made friends with the dude on another Star Wars podcast, and you thought it'd be a good idea to bring him on. He is a co-host of the Outer Rim Beacon podcast. He is also a member of the vaunted 501st Legion. Let's bring him on right now. Our special guest co-host, Mr. Justin Oldham. What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
What's up, everybody? I'm glad to hear it's not just me that butchers the English language in the intros of podcasts. So, it's great. I don't feel so alone anymore. They're starting a group next week. It's for terrible intros. In the
a crappy podcast host support group.
Right. Yeah.
Usually I get those like right down to the word, man. And I don't know, something about a bad penny. I'm like,
introduce yourself like it's like AA or something. You raise your hand. And you're like, "Hi, my name's John, and I butcher podcast intros."
I messed up last week's show. I'm sorry.
Hi, my name's AJ, and I podcast Twitter.
Yeah.
Hi.
It's like a counter. It's been 0x number of days since our last mess up or something like that. And it gets to like 3, and then it's back to 0 again. So
you have to get sabak cards instead of chips for 5 months, 10, whatever.
Right.
All that stuff. So
yeah, glad to be here though. Glad to join.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming on, man. So, like I said, AJ, why don't you take it away, because you actually hooked up with Justin, and I thought it was a good idea that you had, to get him on and kind of, cross pollinate our podcasts, as it were, and really dig into some really cool stuff about cosplaying and Celebration and all that kind of stuff. Since again, we are less than 2 months away from heading out to Anaheim, man.
I know, excited.
Speaking of heading out, what's Steve doing right now?
I don't know.
I'm trying to fix my microphone. My bad.
Yeah. Well, our buddy Gizmo's checking in. He says,
I
"Hey
love
guys,
live broadcasting."
What's up, Gizmo? Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in."
Yeah, we went all the way through Friday perfectly fine, and got through 2 minutes here, and my microphone just starts going. So I'm trying to lean over and fix it right now.
Nice.
Man. All right, so
you just gotta hold it the whole time. You just gotta hold it like right here.
Yeah,
the whole time.
that's probably
There we
the next
go.
thought there.
Hey, I'm back now too. My internet's working. So sorry. Like you were saying, Celebration's coming up, and JT, do you remember 2015 Celebration when I had, what was it, 3 years to get my my ARC Trooper together?
Yes.
And it was like in the final 3 months, I was like, shit, I got to do this. So I've kind of been sweating the details on my latest kit, the Stormtrooper. And so I posted a message in the Ohio Garrison Academy Facebook group, which is specifically cosplayers and costumers for the 501st are trying to get into the 501st Legion just in Ohio. And our helpful co-host here chimed in and said that he wouldn't mind talking some shop. So I figured I would bring him on. He knows way more than I do about the 501st. He's been in it longer. And, we could go through, for anyone who doesn't know what the 501st is and what the organization's all about, or how to even get into cosplay. I figured that was a good topic to bring on tonight.
Yeah, sure.
So Justin, why don't you give us a little bit of your background?
Yeah. So, well, I've only been in 501st for a handful of years now, probably 2018, I think 2019, somewhere in there. So it's been a couple years, but done a couple events, mostly in Central Ohio. It gets a little hard when you have, 2 kids. So finding time between their events to get out to do your own is a little bit of a challenge. But no, I've been, I went out a couple times last year, been out a couple times. I haven't been out yet this year just because everything coming off of COVID and whatnot. But hopefully, and it's been a busy spring. My daughter's about to turn 2, so she's all over the place right now. But it's good. Got into it because love Star Wars, loved collecting. I'm a huge collector, so my collection is pretty massive. And at that point, I was like, well, what's cooler than collecting stormtroopers? Being one. So that's ultimately what got me into it. And I was at Celebration in 2015 in Anaheim. That was actually the first one that I went to. And just walking around and taking pictures with some of the costumers there, I was like, I've got to do this. And I'm 43. So for me, it was like, it's now or never. Like, I don't want to wait any longer to try to get into this. So, I kind of made the jump, and I started researching a lot of research. I actually bought my first kit it's a Shadow Trooper from Anovos, and it's actually still being worked on. It's I got to the legs.
I have blocked Anovos from my memory.
Yeah, it was I got in on the pre-orders, which was great because it was super cheap for a kit when they rolled out, and I actually got it about a year later after I had ordered it. And then they had all their problems. And then but then I kind of started working on a TIE pilot in the interim. I was like, all right, what's my second choice? And TIE pilot, being a TIE pilot, like a TIE interceptor pilot, was like super cool to me. So that was my second choice. So I started researching that, and I figured out what I needed to get into and different kits that you could get. And I found a great kit. I got it at a good deal. So I did that. I put it together. I started actually as a TIE reserve. I got that approved. And then once I had my kit done, I did the TIE. It's actually a Return of the Jedi TIE pilot. So it's got the third hose coming around the side magnetically into the back. So that was, once I got that done, I submitted that and got that cleared. So now I've got 2.5 kits, 2 approved, and then a half of another one that's persistently, what do I want to say? Like always in motion, I guess. the Stormtrooper kit is. So but yeah, so that's how I got into it. It's been great. I enjoy doing it. It's bad guys doing good, and we get out, we do a lot of events, we do walks, we do races. During COVID, it was a little bit of a challenge because there was not a lot. I mean, we couldn't do any public events. There wasn't anything going on. So they shifted to more of a virtual event where we could, submit videos or just a quick 5-minute clip or something wishing somebody a happy birthday, or something like that to try to bring somebody's spirits up that maybe was in Children's Hospital here in Columbus. And then, there was like little video opportunities like that going around. And then finally, like, events started to kind of pop back in late last fall, I think, in the fall through the winter. And then obviously it's picked up a lot more here in the last couple months. So yeah, it's a great time. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, again, pre-COVID. It's weird that we're going to have to always say things like that. PC.
Times.
Yeah, PC.
Yeah, the dark times, right.
We went to downtown Cleveland for the Autism Speaks walk because my son is diagnosed, and there was a local 501st there that had maybe like 6 characters or something. And I just remember my son having absolutely nothing to do with Chewbacca. He saw him from a distance, and he's like, Nah.
I'm good here. I'm good.
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Yeah. There's kids that are like that are just deathly afraid and don't want to come near you. There's others that just think you're the coolest thing since sliced bread, and they'll walk up and like, they'll poke your blaster and like, is that real? And that kind of stuff. And it's great. Like I've got my TIE pilot and the trooper helmet both have I've got a kit from Tramp. It's a company in the UK. They do the ICOM Acres boxes, but they do a remote microphone that has the clicks and the pops that you get, the static pops right from the communicators.
Oh, yeah.
So normally I'll turn that on, and for the TIE pilot, it's in the back piece there. So, but I turn it on and I walk around, and it's great because I'll have a child or somebody come up and ask me a question, and I'll reply, and they'll hear it through the box, and then they'll get the, and they're like, whoa. They're like, okay, that's like legit. And I'm like, yeah, it takes time. I don't mess around with that stuff. But, everybody can do it a different way. It's however you want to do it. Fan kits, I strongly recommend because it's hot in there. But yeah, you can do it at any age. You can do it. Actually, one of the guys on the last troop I did, he's been doing it, I think, since he was like 15. He's been in it like 15 years. Like he's been in it for a really long time. One of the Mando Mercs, but he's been doing it for a really long time, and super cool costume, and a little jealous he got into it that early and I didn't, so I should have done it earlier, but it's expensive. So,
well, I mean, JT's got scout armor. It'll be done by the time you're 65, 66-ish or something.
I'm doing so badly at mine, Justin. It's like I've had it for a few years, and I'm just it's not so much that I don't want to do it. It's that I'm terrified of ruining it. It's my first one, and I got, the elbow pieces and the knee pads, and, working on the chest plate. But that belt, like, you have to get these really precise cuts to get the belt through it. And the helmet comes in two pieces, and I have to like bondo it together and sand it. And the other part of it is, yeah. Well, the other problem is that I have an unusually large head, and I like every helmet I've ever tried to fit in, it hasn't worked so well.
Okay.
So you turn your head sideways, and there's like a gap between the front and the back of the helmet that you have to fill.
I remember I think it was the last celebration. I bought one of the Black Series TK helmets, and I'm trying to get it on. I'm like, what the heck? So I go and I adjust the straps in the helmet, and I had to adjust it to the largest setting it was, and I put it on, and everyone's like, oh, that looks fine. You're good. I'm like, yeah, except for my nose is right here. The eyes were still up here. It was ridiculous.
I don't think that's exclusive to you, though, bud. Like, this thing back here, like, when this thing's on my head, my eyes are somewhere around here. Like, I'm looking sideways. I have, like, peripheral vision and nothing in front of me. It's just the way the thing is built.
We've officially figured out why stormtroopers can't hit.
Look at that. This is just one solid piece. I have no control over the size of this thing.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to make do with what you got.
Yeah, the TIE pilots, I mean, it's a huge helmet. Same thing with the AT-AT driver helmet. They're huge helmets. So there's a lot of excess room in there. And actually, if you put it on and you just have like foam in there and you do this, it's like you look like a Funko Pop, and your head just kind of bobbles.
Sure.
So I've got basically a construction helmet liner in there with the like turn buckle thing in the back, so like you can cinch it down on your head. So when I put it on, I move like this, it actually like moves with my head. So when I can see out the eyes, which is great. That's step number one. But number two is when you turn your head, like if I look this way, the helmet doesn't stay over here, and then I can't see anything. But there's so many different ways that you can do helmets. There's a guy that makes actually like foam padded inserts that are painted in custom. He actually has a lot of clone ones too, that you can just double Velcro them in there and like pop it on. When you look at it from like if you're looking at the inside, looks just like a real helmet. Like it's all padded. It's got the kits and everything. There you go. See, plenty of room in those
JT's armor right there.
Good Lord, man. There you go.
That's gonna be John at Celebration in a couple months.
There's a
I got
lot
it,
of room there.
guys.
Yeah.
We're good.
It'll be me in the front because the box is sticking out to accommodate my belly, the fat guy belly.
What I love is there's also the George Lucas cosplayer behind him.
I didn't even notice.
That one always cracks me up.
I was looking at the guy like he's clearly wearing like shorts over the costume.
Have you? So you said your first celebration, Justin, was 15.
Yeah.
So have you seen the guy that walks around that he looks like George Lucas?
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah.
like that tall guy.
Oh yeah.
God, we were in Orlando the one year, and I saw that guy. It was a couple days, but I think it was like the Tuesday of of Celebration. It was a couple days before, and I was like, dude, can I get my picture taken with you? He said, yeah, sure. And I posted it on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my God, guys, I met George Lucas. And all my friends who weren't like hardcore nerds, they were like, that's the coolest thing ever. That's totally George Lucas. It's like, that's so worth it, man. So I mean, so you've got 2.5 kits, you said. Obviously, the half kit, with the TK. First of all, I am surprised you got the Anovos kit because I'm sure you're aware they've had a ton of problems. AJ had to get a refund. It was like 2 years.
Yeah,
We gotta-
ordered
That was a saga.
He ordered that kit in 1995. That's why he finally got the
Yeah.
damn thing.
Exactly.
JT, I'm actually trying to remember at this point. So was it 2012 Celebration or 15 Celebration where Anovos had the booth, and I got all excited, because you're walking around with a wad of cash, and I slapped down the deposit.
It was Orlando. It was 17.
It was
Because you
17. Okay.
Yeah, because you decided after doing your ARC Trooper hammer that you wanted to get a standard TK. So yeah, I mean, Justin. So I mean, since you have 2.5 costumes, I'm going to make an assumption here because I've heard this with a lot of people that get into it. I'm assuming you prefer costumes that have more, if not all, soft goods.
Yeah, I said that earlier. It's like as you get older, you tend to appreciate the costumes that have more soft goods than hard goods because you can actually like sit down when you get tired.
Yeah.
You have more mobility. So like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like I played sports my whole life, so when I bend down and like get on a knee on the ground to talk to somebody, it gets a little harder to get back up. And so the soft goods kind of help enable that. Whereas in the TK, I get down, I'm like, okay, this is a little more of a challenge to get up. So, but no, I appreciate the soft goods ones a lot because I think they look really good. I kind of like the mix of the two. I like the iCat driver is really cool. The tank driver, I'd love to do that one. I'm actually trying to figure out how to 3D print that right now. I've bought a 3D printer. So
Wow.
Other problem with cosplaying is you start to print you start to go, oh, what else can I do? And I bought a 3D printer, and now I'm like, ooh, I can print this. And I've got one of the guys on our show, Kyle, he's looking to do an Old Man Rex.
Oh, yeah.
2 DC-17 blasters on the print. That was actually like one of the first prints I did. It came out great. He's working on his helmet right now. The only thing he's got to do is his armor. And the rest of it's pretty simple because I mean he's got the beard, he's got the bald head, he's like this. He's like perfect Old Man Rex, so he's ready to go. So but yeah, so I printed 2 DC-17s. I'm gonna try to get into a couple others. There's a guy here in Columbus that actually printed me a DLT-19. So I put that, he printed me the kit, I put it together, painted it up, turned out pretty good. I got it in like 2 pieces where I can like detach it and put it back together. So
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
the tripod, the bipod legs on the front work. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. I tried to get it to where I would do, okay, what if I do lights and sound on this and like really make it legit? And I'm like, no, I can't do that. Then now I'm just getting expensive. So
Yeah.
but yeah, you're right. Costuming is trial and error. And the biggest thing that I try to tell people like that ask me about it or want to get into it is I'm like, you have to not be afraid to make a mistake. That's the biggest thing. You're going to make a mistake at some point. It's just, can you fix it? How do you fix it? That kind of thing. And when it comes to armor trimming and like trying to get it to fit your body, don't go ham and just cutting a 1/2 inch off here. Start with like a 1/4 of an inch and work your way up. Don't just go like, oh, here's the right line, cut it, and then you go, crap, it's too short, I can't fix it. Now you're stuck. But I mean, there are ways that you can get like, PVC or ABS back on there and melt it and redo your own like Bondo kit. But it doesn't look quite the same. So always measure twice, cut once, and do incremental if you have to. But yeah, don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's okay.
I've had that issue with mine. Like I thought I got my pieces perfectly, and then I mean, thankfully I erred on the side of caution, like you said, because now I'm looking at it. I bought a Biker Scout that's about 2 feet tall. It's kind of like a reference. I got it for like $5 in Chicago at Celebration. I was like, oh, this would be perfect to have on my table. And I noticed that like I left flash around all my pieces, but I mean, it looks perfect, but it's like because I was afraid of cutting too deeply into the material. So do you have a recommended tool for actually cutting this stuff? Because I know we've used like box cutters for that kind of thing, or do you have something that works better, like tin snips or something, or a combination of things?
Lexan scissors. If you could just go on Amazon, look up Lexan scissors.
Okay.
They're super short. They're about this big, but they're great for trimming PVC, ABS, plastic.
Okay.
They make them in straight and in curved. So like if you've got a curved angle on your armor and you're trying to like get into like it arches up like this and you're trying to get in there, you can use these curved ones to kind of come up and go around on the curves of armor. The regular straight ones are great for just long edge pieces. But they work great. I mean, it's like tin snips. It just goes through it like butter. You can use that. The other thing I use is a Dremel. You have to be a little bit more careful with that, because if you slip and if you've got it too high of a speed and you slip off and you hit your armor somewhere else, you can quickly like put a hole through it, or but just the little sanding, the little round I don't know what you get, like the little round sanding pieces that you can stick in a Dremel, those work great.
Okay.
But yeah, but that allows you a more precise, like, hey, I'm just gonna eyeball this, take a little bit off, try to re-level it out. If you take the Shadow Trooper is great because it's all black armor. So if I hold it up to a white computer screen like this, I can clearly see if there's like a lump or something in my armor.
Yeah.
So I can easily just kind of Dremel it down, or even just a regular LED light. I can just Dremel it down, level it out, and it cleans it up really, really well. White armor is a little bit trickier because you got to hold it to something dark to where you can see maybe that little striation of the line. But
yeah,
I mean, there's a bunch of different tools out there. Exactos are good, like in the initial cuts, like if you're just scoring. I usually say do that. Once you score it enough, you can almost bend it and snap it if it's a straight piece.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful with that you don't like not score it all the way and like you bend it over and now it's like warping or bending a corner of something. But yeah. And the biggest thing is, like I said, don't cut too short. You cut too short on something, right? And then you try to put it together. Like your scout helmet should lift up in the front, right?
Yeah.
But if you score the back part pieces that go together, you're gonna be like this with your cheeks because the sides will be in too far, and then like it's just not gonna work real well for you. I
think I'll be like that anyway. Like, damn it, I did this right.
That's just from eating too much pizza, not because
exactly
you cut the armor wrong.
Right?
Nice.
Our buddy,
Dude, I've got that problem right now, actually.
Our buddy Kale McLeish is. Oh, sorry, I was going to say our buddy Kale McLeish is tuned in from Australia. He says that settles it. After I finish this episode, I go for my first walk, and then I'm watching the Battle of Camino again.
Yeah, because I've got the super obscure ARC Trooper that all he does is go. He's just hiding up there and like, no, don't shoot. Yep. And that's it. But I live. I'm the one surviving ARC Trooper. Everybody else gets it.
Yeah.
So when you walk around Celebration with your armor on, you don't talk to anybody. You just put your hand up and keep it moving along.
That's like I've always said, like when I finish my armor, when I finally get it to Celebration, I'm just going to be the biker scout from Return of the Jedi that goes, hey! And so that's all I'm going to say to anybody. Like, can I have a picture taken with you? Hey! Like, I'll be that one guy.
You don't even have to say it now. Now they got like little buttons you can put in your gloves, and then you just push in an audio button plays it for you. It's like the direct quote from the movie. You just be like, "Hey," hit the button repeatedly.
The ultimate laziness. The ultimate laziness. Don't even have to say the word "hey." You make your helmet do it for you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there you go, AJ. That's all you do at Celebration is that. People want a picture.
That's literally the only thing the guy did in the episode too. Like he didn't fire a shot. He didn't say a word. He just did that. So fun times.
Nice.
So have you ever
But-
cosplayed at Celebration, Justin?
No, I have not. The first one I went to was Anaheim in 2015. Went to Orlando in 2017. Went to Chicago in 2019, which I probably could have done that one because at least it's within driving distance. I wouldn't have had to have shipped anything, but and then obviously this year we'll be back in Anaheim. But no, I've not cosplayed. I'm probably this year I'm probably gonna do just what do they call it? Like Disney bounding. You guys know what that like where you dress like a Disney character, but you go to Disney
Yeah,
and
you
look
kind of
like
wear normal clothes, but
Yeah,
it looks
yeah.
like a character. Yeah.
Yeah, like I might do something like that that's just soft goods. I think we're gonna be recording. I think when we're out there, we've talked about it a couple times, like going down to the pool and just hanging out by the pool and recording by the pool and having a giant party down there. So, but no, maybe something like that I might do. And just do that. But I it's hard because I enjoy Celebration so much. I love walking around. I love seeing the people. You know, I've been fortunate. I got to meet Filoni one in 2017. I got to meet him. And then we saw him again in 2019 in Chicago. You know, so I love walking around and seeing the people in the costumes and the events and actually just partaking in it versus, hey, I got to be in a costume or doing the costume and representing the group. So
quote unquote working
yes,
while you're there a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I did actually, though, there was in 2017 down in Orlando, I have a Old Republic Jedi from the it's just a standard Old Republic Jedi that I had started, and I wore that in 2017 in Orlando. It was hot as all get out, just walking around inside.
Yeah.
But it wasn't at that point. It wasn't approved yet, so it was kind of like a precursor to what I was working on. And then when I got back, luckily my wife's my mother-in-law is just a great seamstress, and she was able to like take up the things that I needed to fix and get it resubmitted. So I actually have that one approved in Rebel Legion as well. So I have not cosplayed in that one. Just it's it's that one's just it is really hot. You know, and when it's almost worse to wear that one than it is to wear the TIE pilot armor, because it's, I mean, just robes and robes and robes. And then I've got, you know, 2 sabers on the sides. You know, the boots, like just, it's almost thicker and heavier than the TIE pilot. So, but I've not worn that one yet, but it is approved through Rebel Legion. So I'm going to try to break that one out maybe this summer or this fall and see if I can get that one.
It probably sucks. I mean, they'll take anybody.
They'll take anybody in the Rebel Legion over there.
So our buddy Kale wants to know about those buttons. He says, I really want to know how they correctly use those buttons. Being pretty much always on your fingers would make them super easy to misfire, wouldn't it?
It can. It depends where you've got them and like how many you have. Like I said, if you go on Facebook, look up Tramp. He does great stuff with blasters too. Like you can put a blaster kit, a blast effects kit in a blaster, and he'll give you like, you know, 50 different blaster options that range from, you know, single fire to stun to full auto. It ran out of ammo, you got to reload it. You've got like the works, and he'll do them to where it's in the gloves. Like, yeah, like when you put them in the hands like this, and you can get like different profiles. There's a lot of guys that do Darth Vader costumes that will do that, where they'll load up, you know, 5 different things in the gloves. And the big trick is when you're walking around, your hands got to kind of stay just open, or like if you don't have one on the thumb, you can loop it in your belt loop like this and just keep it there. But it's really where you mount it, how you mount it, and how sensitive the press is. Like if it actually has to be a hard, a momentary switch where it's like an actual clicking engage versus just a pad that you touch and it goes. Depends on how it's wired, where it's at, that kind of thing. But there's a number of different ways that you can use it. My TIE Pilot's got the comm pad on it. I've got the LED lit comm pad. Normally I don't have it on, like if I'm just out trooping, like it's actually not a qualification per the CRL. So you're not supposed to have the lit one. Like, so mine looks just standard without it. And then sometimes if I go out, like I'll hit it and turn it on, but most of the time I just leave it off. So, but it looks really cool. It's just lit up, and I have the chest box lights as well. So, and they just run off of just a standard little, USB battery pack. It's super easy.
So where do you get the soft goods at? Because that's one thing I've been trying to figure out. Like for my, for my TB, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, once I get this thing, I'm going to need the bodysuit. Like I know, obviously, there's so many places to get the actual armor from online, but I haven't seen a lot of places that are like, hey, I'll make you a bodysuit for like you said, like you're a TIE pilot, or you got the AT-AT driver, or like I'm doing the biker scout. So where do you get that at?
So the soft goods for Wampa Wear is a big one. That's one that commonly people go to is Wampa Wear, because he does have a good selection, like X-Wings, TIE pilots. If you're looking for a Boba Fett jumpsuit, he's got that as well. I actually really like Imperial Boots. Vince, the guy that owns Imperial Boots, does a great job. I think they're based out of the Philippines, I want to say. So it's a while, and he does runs basically where, once a month you'll have like a week long window to order what you need. You place your order, and then usually they ship out in about a month, and then like 2 weeks after that you've got it. So it's about a 1.5 to 2 month process. But I will say this, Vince, if you're questioning your size, because when you look at the sizes, like, hey, your waist, your arm length, your inseam, your neck diameter, whatever it may be, if you send him your size and like, hey, I'm 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, my neck, I wear like a 16, neck size, or 16 and a half neck size, he'll come back and say, this is the size that you need. He like is spot on with his sizing, not just with the soft goods, but like with the boots as well, the shoes. My TK boots and my TIE pilot boots were both ordered through Imperial Boots, and perfect fit on both of them, because they do run different. Your biker scout boots, your TK boots, your TIE pilot boots, if you're doing a Hux, those boots are different. Just whatever you're doing, they are all a little bit different in the sole and how they fit. So it's a good idea to just email him, message him. He'll hit you back within like 2 days, give you the right size, and you're good to go. And he does run specials on his site, like at different times. Like obviously the best times like November. If you're looking at doing it, look at like Thanksgiving, like sales, like day after Thanksgiving sales, because they do it all the time around there, whether they're in the US or not. Or they'll do like holiday runs. It's just a great time to buy. But he knows his stuff. He knows his sizes. So if you've got questions, he's the guy to go to. But yeah, it's crazy with what you got to be careful, because sometimes if you order something, you can't return it too. And then you're stuck with, like, it's like just way too tight on your body, and it like doesn't work. It's gotta fit and be comfortable for you. The biggest caution I would say is if you do, there's a lot of really good vendors on Etsy, and I'm going to preface this with that. We love to support small vendors on our show, pin makers, patches. I don't know if you guys have ever bought anything from Ryloth Relics, but he does like challenge coin things that are just beautiful, absolutely beautiful work. We love to support small vendors, but with the costuming stuff on Etsy, you have to be very, very careful, because if it's not to the CRL and you're trying to get in the 501st, and you just go, hey, there's a TIE pilot outfit over here and it looks really cool, it's only $30. That's probably a sure bet that it's not going to meet the CRL standards. You got to make sure you read what the CRL is first, and that what you're ordering would meet those standards. Most of them are pretty upfront and honest with you as far as whether it meets the standards or not. But just word to the wise, be cautious when you start getting into that stuff.
Sure. Now,
so a quick definition for our audience, because we've read up on this stuff. We actually know a little bit about it, but the audience doesn't.
I think
CRL is CRL is Costume
Library.
Reference Library. There's a whole set of guidelines and stuff. People have set up all the approvable rules and whatnot for how to get your costume approved, all the way from like basic approval all the way up to what they call Centurion status, which is like as film accurate as possible. Like, oh, that screw in that one spot was a Phillips head, not a flathead. It must be painted, all the details. So
Yep. And they're spot on. they're really, really good because somebody has taken an incredible amount of time to look at stills from movie, TV shows, animation, whatever it may be, to get it exactly right. Color hues, you're right. If it's a screw versus a snap, all that kind of stuff. But the costume reference library is big, but it's narrowed down. Like if you're looking like, hey, Clone Trooper, you can click on Clone Trooper and it'll pull up, Captain Rex Phase 1, Captain Rex Phase 2, Captain Rex Clone Wars, Captain Rex Rebels, because they are all different. Same thing with if you're looking at just regular TKs, there's stuff that's in there from novels, there's stuff that's in there from comics, there's stuff that's in there from movies, from animation, from everything. So if there's a character that you want to be, or that you've always, Thrawn's in there, like everybody's in there. So if there's a character that you want to be, I can almost guarantee you there's a CRL for it. I've not seen Dexter Jetster yet. For some reason, I don't know why. I'm really hoping somebody puts that together and like shows up at Celebration as a Dexter Jetster. I'd just be like, oh, that's super cool. Like, what the heck?
Well, that's
man?
the cool thing about it.
The
This
apron
whole
and the
thing is
blade.
all fan driven, right?
Mhm.
So, like, yes, now it's kind of codified a little bit, but it's all fan driven. So if you are the first one doing the costume, you're kind of writing the rules as you go.
Mhm.
And then it's up to other members to say, yeah, that looks right. Let's make that a rule. So yeah, if someone wants to be the Dexter Jetster stand and just go hog on it, they could
Like-
write the costume guidelines.
Yeah, I love the obscure characters like in Star Wars that never get any like time. We talked about this on the show. In the background, when the twins show up in the Book of Boba Fett, there is I can't even remember the species it was, but there's like an alien werewolf girl wearing like a bikini.
I saw that on your show.
background, and
Yeah.
it's the funniest, most obscure thing I have ever seen, and I'm just like, can somebody please put that together and show up at Celebration, because I think that'd be the coolest. It'd be hot because it's just wear like fur all over you, but yeah, it's super cool. Like I love background aliens. I saw in Chicago, we were in the store, we were waiting in line to go in the store because it had dwindled down after the 8-9 hour wait on day one that it was. This was like day 3, so we went in to kind of pick over the leftovers. But there was somebody in there with a really, really good Greedo costume in there, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool. I was like, can I get a picture? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, dude, it makes me happy every time I see it. Like, it doesn't matter. I appreciate good costumes, and I don't care. Like for me, I don't care who you are or what you are. Like if there's dudes that go as prisoners with Jobs Leia, there's there's ladies that go. There was I can't remember her name. She did a great Dagobah Luke at Chicago, Celebration Chicago, and I can't think of her name, but she's actually really big in the cosplay industry. And but it was great. She had the little stuffed Yoda on her back and the little backpack thing, and it was super cool. So it gives people an opportunity to do something that they wouldn't normally get to do, or and can kind of step out of their comfort zone and be something that they've always wanted to be, which is what's cool for me. Like I'm like, hey, I don't have to like just collect stormtroopers anymore, collect TIE pilots anymore. I get to be one now.
Yep.
Like I found a maker on Etsy that has like it's a, I don't know what it's like, a plastic engraved thing, and like it has like a handle on it, and there's a battery in it with an LED. So when you like push it, it like lights up. And I've got a little TIE Interceptor picture on there with my TI ID on there, and like, hey, this is my ship. Like, and it's like you just get yourself in the role. So like if I'm out and about and I see a kid and I'm like, hey, have you seen my ship somewhere? And they're like, no. And I'm like, it looks like this. And they're like, holy crap. Like, and it's the static pops and stuff like that. And they, I've got a blaster on the side, and they're just like, holy crap. I'm like in that world. It's just like going to Batu. You're like in that world now. And all of a sudden you forget where you're at. And it's the coolest thing, especially when you see kids light up and get happy about it. And even adults, I had, there was a couple adults at the last one that I did that were just like, man, that is so cool. And I'm like, thank you. So
yeah. We went to.
That's how
we
I
went
got
to,
suckered in.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean it's
I went to too many celebrations. I
Yeah,
was like, this is
right?
too cool. I've got to get
Yeah.
in on this.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Like I
said,
like
don't
we went
wait.
to.
Don't
Yeah,
wait. Do it.
It's I was gonna say AJ and I went to Cincinnati in December to see the Cincinnati Philharmonic do. They played Return of the Jedi on the screen, but the orchestra actually played the soundtrack. It was really cool. And out in the lobby, they had just a handful of people cosplaying.
Mhm.
But one of them, they had some biker scouts with a speeder bike. And I've been to every celebration starting in 2010. This will be my 6th one in a row. So I've seen my share of biker scouts, but I was still like, oh, I got to get a picture.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Doesn't matter where. You got to do it.
it's. I think one of my favorite original costumes I saw might have been the very first one I ever saw. We walked into our first celebration, and the very first costume I saw was a fat guy. He was dressed up as Peter Griffin Han Solo.
Yes.
I mean, he had
I've seen that
shaved.
guy.
Oh my
Yep.
God, he shaves his facial hair at the chin into the Peter Griffin butt chin,
Yep.
like, and he's got the glasses with the half. Oh my God, I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, this is going to be the experience of a lifetime.
Yep.
Like,
I think in 2015 we were walking around, and I think I saw like the best Gamorrean guard I've ever I had never seen like somebody dressed as a Gamorrean guard before. Like that was actually like my first big con, I would say, to go to, and I was invited by my buddy Kyle, and I was just like floored. I was like, holy, like, I mean, it was huge. Like, he looked like a real Gamorrean guard, and he had the pig noises. I don't know where it was coming from, but it, whether it was the fingertips or not, but he was making the squeals and walking around and like he was talking, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. I have to get into this. The very first one that I wanted to do, that I loved, and it's still one of my favorite costumes, is the Jedi Temple Guard from Clone Wars. That was actually my favorite.
I like that
Just
one.
that outfit looks super cool to me. And then to see them again in Rebels, like a scaled down version where it's more like a jumpsuit, but now you could see the back of the helmet, and he's wearing like a full helmet that went around his head, and you could detach the faceplate. I was like, oh, that is so cool. And I still haven't seen it yet. Like, at least I haven't checked the costume reference library for it, but that's one that I would love to do, is like, just more the scaled down version. I started to put together some of this stuff for the other one, but I couldn't. It was just so expensive, and it was hard to do. I am not the best. I'm not a seam. I don't sew very well, so that's why I had to incorporate the mother-in-law. I can do the PVC stuff. I can do the armor stuff. I can do cutting, gluing, all that kind of stuff. But when it came to like more of the intricate soft goods, I couldn't do it. So, but yeah, that was my favorite. That's actually what I started to do, and then shifted gears and went the dark side, and ended up with the Stormtrooper and the TIE Pilot. So
that's awesome. So this is a question, I guess, for all of us. Well, not you, Steve, because you only go to dumb Disney and not Celebration. But Kale McLeish wants to know, have you seen many Praetorian guards since The Last Jedi came out? I haven't seen a ton. I'll be honest. I thought we would see more of those, but I
in Chicago, and that was
it.
I
think I've seen 3. I know I can count them on the fingers of one hand.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it was may have been Orlando. There was 2 in Orlando. I was with one of my friends, Vic, and for that one, and I think there was 2 walking around, but that's all I've seen. I haven't seen many more. I don't know that there's any in, or maybe 1 in Ohio Garrison. There may be none in Ohio Garrison. I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
I remember the ones in 17. AJ, do you remember we were walking around? We're like, dude, the movie's not even out. How do these guys have this costume?
Right?
That's the thing that
Like,
blows
I remember
me away.
15, we had the First Order Stormtroopers, but that was, by the company. They were already working with Anovos, and they had hired those people to wear those costumes. But yeah, in 17, like, Last Jedi's not even here yet, and they've already got the costume done. Like, they must pick apart those trailers frame by frame to get that information. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
I walked around, and it was a couple people came up to me and they said, "Man, that's an awesome Unkar Plutt." in 2015. I was like, get the fuck away from me.
1/4.
I have a glandular
Yeah,
condition.
Yeah, exactly. 1/4 portion.
Well, there you go. That's all you need to do is just
Right.
like get a pocket full of those things. If somebody says some shit to you, you just throw a quarter portion at them.
That would be a great. That'd be a great thing to carry on Celebration, wouldn't it? Like portions, and just like throw people portions. That I'm gonna find out how to do that.
You just
And-
let some bread get really moldy, put it in a vacuum sealed bag, right? Like just a little
Right.
bit like this, let it vacuum seal it down, and then just start handing that out. There you go.
I'm amazed no one
Quarter
has
portion.
yet.
I think I'm onto
Well,
something.
I was
That's like
saying,
my.
there's your
There you
plan
go.
for the
Yep.
next 2 months.
I mean, there's
and
a
I
lot
would-
of people that hand things out at Celebration. That could be yours. Like, just put a stamp on it. Like, here's our logo, 1/4 portion. Yep, there
See,
you go.
and that'd be great because it's like I wouldn't even have to cosplay. I'll literally just wear a shirt that says "Hungry." Ask me for a quarter portion, and then people are like give me a quarter
Exactly.
portion, and I'll reach into my backpack and go 1/4 portion,
There you go.
and I'll be the portion guy.
There you go.
I'll,
'Cause, you know, it when celebration starts, it'll be a joke. People will say something to you because they're not going to expect you to have it, and then by like day 3, people are going to be like, "Hey, there's that guy that's handing out the portions."
I'm gonna figure that. I'm gonna get one of those like vacuum seal things you see on like the TV infomercial.
Yeah.
Like you can make your 12-foot blanket be the size of an IKEA package with our product. Like, and I'm gonna figure this out, dude. Like, you know what? The other thing I want to figure out, and I'm sure AJ, you can appreciate this, and Steve, we've talked about this on the show, so you know. But Justin, whoever is the person that figures out how to make armor that you can actually use the restroom in, at least take a piss while you're wearing your armor. If you could figure out that piece down there, you are going to be a gajillionaire. Do you have any idea how many of those you would sell if you're like, hey, are you a Star Wars cosplayer? Well, check this out. Now we've got something where you can actually take a piss standing up. Like,
Like an easier detachable cod piece, like it has like a window
Yeah,
in the front,
exactly.
like magnetic. Well, I
Exactly.
mean, you can do some crazy things with magnets in your Star Wars pieces. So, just cut the PVC, the ABS right, and put a magnet in there, and there you go. You got to work things flat.
Kale McLeish, it's called a catheter, John.
Yeah.
A little bag on
Yeah.
the inside of the.
Justin,
thigh.
you're actually not
Yeah,
kidding.
right.
I used a lot of magnets in my kit actually, because
Oh.
especially the Clone Wars stuff. There's that's never designed to have a person inside of it, so there are no seams naturally for the costume. So to get that like seamless look, it was a
Yep.
lot of Velcro and a lot of magnets. Just
Wha-
because you got to smash your arm in there and then like make
Yep.
it look like it never came off.
And I
Yeah.
tell you what, for those that have never worked, what is it? It's like neodymium magnets. There's actually a company that you can go to and you can get, they sell like tons of these magnets in different shapes and sizes and things. They are strong, really strong. Like you get them close, they'll literally just snap together to the point where if there's enough force, it'll break the magnet. And you
What
like
the
they
heck?
ship them with
Mhm.
literally plastic in between them because there has to be like a divider in them because they're so hard to get apart. That's what I have in mine is so the hose that goes from the chest box around the back. There's not a lot of like everybody goes back and forth on the ROTJ TIE Pilot because they're like, well, is there a hose? Is there not a hose? Where was the hose? Oh, it's just tucked into the belt. Well, a lot of guys like, I'm like, well, I'm not going to walk around with this thing tucked into my belt. It doesn't really look like it does anything. So a lot of guys will take it and it's just dryer tube. That's all that piece is just dryer tube with a rubber elbow on the end. But
That's where
can-
that's where you hide your catheter.
yeah, exactly. Just run the tube and down the back.
There you go.
But like I ordered these magnets because I put one in the piece of the elbow that goes to the back of the chest box, the back piece, and then I put the other one on the back side of it. So it just it's so strong it just sits in there. But when I want to take it off, I can actually like slide it, detach it, and then get my armor up over top of my head. And then my hoses are magnetic as well, so they detach from the chest down here, not the actual helmet itself, but I can detach from here and then pull the helmet completely off because a lot of times you know they're just stuck in there, so people will go like this and they kind of like you look awkward like here here's my TIE pilot, like, and your hoses are still attached. So I designed it where I could magnetically take the helmet fully off, the chest off, and it makes it much, much easier to maneuver. So, but they're strong magnets. It's crazy. Buddy of mine, when they were in town the other weekend, he pulled them apart and like they snapped back together. He was like, "Oh shit." I was like, yeah,
I've given myself blood blisters that way.
You'll lose
Yeah.
a finger if you're not careful. So, but they're really, really strong. So, but you can order all different kinds of shapes and sizes for your costumes. I use them in the DLT-19 in the 2 parts. So like when I put it together, there's like a male slot and a female slot, and then there's magnets in there that goes click like this just to keep it together. That's pretty cool.
So in terms of the,
you brought up something interesting
thing,
here.
Gizmo said, in terms of the bathroom thing, Gizmo says Tony Stark figured it out.
So, what you didn't see in that scene was the urine running out of the foot underneath the arm.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what you missed. You went, but
But you brought up something interesting there. Like you were talking about the Return of the Jedi TIE pilot and where does the hose go?
Mm-hmm.
We're going for film accuracy here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be some wiggle room in this, right? Because in universe, the tube actually did something and went to a backpack or whatever, but the actual on-set costume didn't. So, which way have you been in any of those conversations? Like when you're trying to figure out what counts as official? Like, do you go with the way the movie prop costume was made, or do you go with the in-universe version of what they were intending to imply?
I go with there is a group out there that will, and it just kind of loops around pretty regularly. Like, hey, here's a new still that just came out, or here's a still that we found that shows it on the back. Most of them show it in the looped in the belt. But as long as the CRL says, hey, you're okay, you can put it in the belt, or you can put it in, I'm pretty sure the last time I read it, it was you can put it in the belt, or you can put it up on, you can have it attached to the back piece. And they were okay with either one because there is not a clear way to do it, a right way or a wrong way to do it. So I think that's why they're, in that case, they're more acceptable, because there's not really a clear way that somebody has done it, or it was on screen. In other things, now they did come out and say, hey, your compad has to be, they changed the colors on it recently. I think it was actually within the last 6 months to a year. They changed the colors on it. So if you have a compad that has blue and red and something else, you have to have a green one on there now, because they determined, hey, in the movie, the compad for this era TIE pilot has a green rectangle. So you have to go back and you have to update your compad to make sure that it matches the correct CRL. So, do people go out and go, hey, you're not wearing the right compad, I'm going to report you? I've not had that before. So, it's hard to say whether like people are that stickler about it. I've heard war stories or like horror stories about 501st guys from people. Some really get over the top into it, and everybody I've met has been really, really cool. I've not met any person within the 501st that has turned me off to it or wanting to do costuming or join the Legion. If those people are out there that do that and they kind of turn people off to it, shame on them, because it's a lot of fun and it's for a good cause. It's not about who has the most accurate costume. It's about what you're doing to help other people, and in the good causes that you can do by representing Star Wars and Lucasfilm and actually getting out in front of people to make, in some cases, dreams or wishes happen. You know what I mean? That's
can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, the idea is they do a lot of stuff with, we've done Make-A-Wish stuff. There's, there's visits to children's hospitals for cancer patients. Certainly, patients maybe that have, what do I want to say, non-curable diseases or cases that, don't really have that expectancy. So it's about brightening their days and future and making sure that they're having fun and enjoying their time. Not about like, oh, hey, your costume's not right. That's not what it's about.
Mhm.
So, and I can almost guarantee you, any of those kids that see you walk in the door, they're not going to notice it. They don't care. They just want to see a Star Wars person. That's what they're there. Like, they get
It'd
so
actually be
excited.
hilarious if like some 8-year-old called you out on your costume.
Yeah.
and you went to go
Yeah.
do that.
I think we're lucky,
Excuse
Steve, that
me.
your son is not huge into Star Wars like you are, because he's the sort that would probably be like knowing
Oh, yeah.
every last thing about that costume. Be like,
Oh yeah.
wait a minute, that's supposed to
Dude,
be a red button,
his-
not a blue button.
Yeah, his sticking to attention with autism and all that, he would absolutely be that kid. 100%.
Excuse me, that is
would do that.
that is not a DC-15 with your clone armor. That is an
Yeah.
E11. That's an incorrect blaster, sir. Like,
Yeah, right?
okay, kid.
But he wouldn't say it to you. He'd turn around and say it to me. He'd be like, "Daddy, why does he have the wrong blaster with his outfit?" And just make me the awkward one staring like,
It's when you just go.
Yeah.
right?
"There to
I don't know,
answer?
kid.
There to
Ask him
answer?"
yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's bad guys doing good. We raise a lot of money for charities. We get out there, we try to, I'm not gonna lie, like if I go out costuming, like if somebody asks me about my costume and how I made it and how I did it, they're like, oh, that's so cool, I wish I could do that. And I'm like, do it. Like, why wish? Make it happen. Like, you can do it. And there's ways to get into it, like relatively inexpensive ways to get into it. Like I said, my first one was the Thai Reserve. It's basically all soft goods. It's your flight suit, your boots, your belt. You don't even have to carry a blaster. It's your belt, your hat, and that's it. Like, and you're good. I mean, it's a minimal cost at that point. I'd say probably, depending on where you get your boots and your belt, that's probably, it's like 200, maybe under 200. It seems like a lot, but there are costumes out there that are way more expensive.
Yeah. 200 is not a lot at all.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No, it's not bad. Same thing with X-Wing.
Yeah, you're not getting a good Vader for under like 3,000.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
same with Boba Fett. Boba Fett is a really hard one. The Vader's a really hard one. I imagine if I saw a Praetorian Guard, that's probably a really hard one
Yeah.
too. The Royal Guard is not terrible. I'd say, if you look up Imperial Boots, he's got a full kit of soft goods all the way down to the boots. I think it's 300 to 500 if you want to be a Royal Guard. And then the helmet, whatever you find for your helmet, whether you want to buy it as a kit and it's not painted, if you want it fully painted by somebody else, if you go the comic route and you do like a Carter Jax and you do the full armor underneath the robes, then that gets a little bit more expensive. But there's ways into costuming. Jawas are great. You can get into Jawas at a relatively inexpensive price. The Tusken Raiders, you can get in with a Tusken at a pretty reasonable price. So there's options out there if it's something that you want to do. I totally get it that it's not the cool, like you may go, oh, it's just a Jawa, like it's not the coolest, but I guarantee you when you show up at an event, kids are just excited to see a Jawa as they are a Stormtrooper or Boba Fett or any of the other ones, because Jawas are cool. You can run around and like steal stuff, and people like get like in the fall of last year, we were at a food drive. It was a food drive and a or a pet show, pet expo thing. And the Jawas were running over, stealing the canned goods and like running away. And it was fun because like people were getting into it. And so you can have fun with it, and people have fun with it. So don't think that you got to go all in and, I got to be, Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, which again is all soft goods for the most part, except for a belt, a lightsaber, and boots. You're good. And you don't have to have blonde hair. You don't have to have a wig. You just get the costume done. You're good to go. So
It would be awesome to do like a character that never ever speaks and make a voice for it. Like, like you said, like the Royal Guard, like people come, oh, that's great. Can I have a picture? Oh yeah, just come stand right over here. Just come over here and get a picture. Like, is that what they sound like? Oh yeah. If you go on George Lucas Encyclopedia, it's exactly what they sound like. Like, just totally make up some horrific voice, and people, what the F is that? Like,
Yeah.
holy crud. I always thought it'd be cool to see somebody goes Boar Gullet. That would be like just some giant slug going around. Like,
right.
you know. I think I think one of the coolest things I saw, speaking of cosplaying, I don't know if you saw this before, but Daughtry, the musician, he went to one of the celebrations. I want to say it was Anaheim, but he went as Darth Maul. So nobody knew that it was Daughtry because he's walking. He had the perfect face paint. He had the horns, but because his face was painted up, nobody had any idea that it's actually like this world famous guy, like right in front of their face.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Funny.
So
I can see people going, "Hey, did you know that's Daughtry?" And everybody else is like, "Who?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm here to see. Here to see this guy. I'm here to see Pedro." Like,
yeah.
who's Daughtry? Like,
Yeah. What if they're sitting there having a music conversation? They're like, "Man, you know who I can't stand? That effing Daughtry guy. His music sucks." And he's just got to sit there and take it or out himself.
He's waiting in line for an autograph from Ashley, like standing behind somebody. Like, well, this is awkward. What should I tell him?
Yeah. Let's see you write songs, you dick. What'd you say? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah. My bad.
Oops.
Yeah.
Who said that?
So. Gizmo, old Ben Kenobi is just a taller Jawa, not expensive at all. Oh my god!
It's two costumes in one. You just throw the Jawa piece on and throw the hood up, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
I've not seen anybody do a Babu Frick yet. Although that would kind of creep me out a little bit, seeing a giant Babu Frick instead of little teeny tiny Babu Frick. But
yeah, right. Like I was thinking that while you were talking about the Jawas, and I'm like, I'm 6'3". I don't think I could pull off Jawa.
That's why it would be funny. Have like an enormous Babu Frick.
Yeah, he's just walking around like, "Hey, what's up, everybody?
Droid,
who are you?
Ready.
I'm comically large Babu Frick. Hey.
Comically large Babu Frick. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm trying to think
what kind of space toxin that enlarged him or something like that. The Anzellans are all small, but here comes Babu Frick, like King Kong of the Anzellans. What is going on right now?
Oh my god. I love how you even know his species, man. That is crazy.
If you guys do you guys read the High Republic stuff?
I'm
AJ's read it.
Halfway through the second novel. Was that Falling Star? I think it is, or something like that.
Yeah. The
Falling Skies, whatever.
And it escapes me what it is right now. The one that came out in February is really, really good. But there is mention of another Anzellan in there, which if you guys have seen any of the videos on the Halcyon, the Disney hotel, the ship was designed by an Anzellan, and the character that designed the ship is actually in the book. And it's cool because now there's
they're
more
tying
than
everything
one
together.
Yeah, and it's all apparently these giant star cruisers are all built and designed by Anzellans, which are just these little tiny guys. And at first you thought Babu was like the only one, but now they're actually like a bigger part of the Star Wars universe. So I've read all the High Republic stuff to this point. I got to catch up on the comics a little bit. But we've read all of the High Republic stuff to this point, and it's so cool to listen to how the Jedi were then versus how they are now, like how they were through the original trilogy and even in the prequels. But the number of characters that they've introduced in the High Republic as Jedi and whoever else, like was Leox. Leox is like Matthew McConaughey. All right. And he's just walking.
Okay, you're
around
clearly
like
doing the Audible stuff, aren't you?
Yes, I love the Audible stuff. But yeah, he's basically Matthew McConaughey. I love Mark Thompson, man. Mark Thompson is fantastic. But he's in and then Geode. Geode is.
Oh no.
Okay. Geode is a bone of contention on this show. So what's your take on Geode there, Justin?
We had a whole segment about, are you kidding me? A fucking sentient rock? Like what are we doing? Like, and we admitted that maybe we were wrong because when we heard there was a force tree, in Last Jedi. We're like, what the hell is that? And then we kind of extrapolated. Oh, there's a Force cow, and Luke accidentally kills him, and he's eating Force hamburgers, like, like. And the Force tree turned out cool, but we're like, a rock. And then we found a picture like of the rock in like the cabin of a starship with people. I'm just like, what is going on here? Like how far, like how hard can you jump the shark? So
like,
so go ahead and defend Geode, because
how he is written is just fantastic, because the lines are just puns. I mean, it's just puns of how he's written. And I think that was just the Justina Ireland book. I think that's the new one. I have my notes here somewhere, but it's just how he's written is perfect. There was, I think, in the newer book, there's just like a line where they can magnetize themselves, apparently.
Of course they can.
Some other one of the other guys that used to be friends with Leox and some of the others who's now like their enemy tries to shoot him. So he magnetizes himself, and the blaster bolt ricochets and goes back and hits the guy, and it kills him. And the line was something like, and there was Geode standing over him like a tombstone. And I'm like, it's just beautiful. Like, this rock is like looking down on you like, yeah, punk. That's what I thought. Like Dirty Harry style.
There's your cosplay for Celebration, John.
Oh my God, I am so doing it.
I am so doing it. Just go get some foam block, glue it all together, cut a hole that you can just get. We said the same thing.
Cut the eye hole and then have the little mesh like that's on the side of buses so you can see through it. But
no armholes, no nothing. But you got to leave a little room so that like you walk around a little bit and then you just squat down.
Yep.
And you look like you've been sitting there for a while, and then get up and move, and then people are like, "What the heck is going on here? Wasn't that over there about an hour ago?" Yep.
Dude, that way you just
What's
scare
even better
people.
is they play him out like to be a player. I'm laughing my ass off because apparently like he pulls.
Oh yes, yeah.
I don't know what.
Oh, stop!
He's hitting on one of the characters, and they were like, and Leox was like, "Oh no, it's okay. Geode only dates in species," knowing full well Geode is a player and gets around and does not only date in species.
Right.
I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, John, while you're cosplaying as Geode, you can just start bumping into the back of like a Twi'lek or something like that while you're at Celebration, and nobody will really know that it's basically sexual assault.
Or you just find a Garth Whip cosplayer.
Yeah. Like, what's the joke? Hey, baby, I'm always hard. Like, what? Like, what? I mean, what are you gonna? Like, I mean, dude, seriously, I can't stop laughing at this picture. It's like, who? I want to know the behind the scenes of who came up with this. Like, all right, they're having a character meeting. Some guy goes, "I got one." Okay, what do you got? A rock. And nobody in the room went, "Get the fuck out of this meeting!" Like, they went, that's kind of good. Like, and then
you know what? Sit on that. We'll come back to that one.
It's like you guys ever see Revenge of the Nerds with Ogre? He's like, what if CAT really spelled dog? And you're like, this is the guy that created Geode in the writing room.
Yep. Exactly.
But no, I mean, I think it's a great character. Like, it's just well written, and it is. You wouldn't think that it's an inanimate object for us, but in the Star Wars universe, it's a sentient being that moves and does things, and which is great because it just reinforces that the whole Star Wars mantra of like you can't judge a book by its cover, and there's a myriad of nobody ever like. People either love Jar Jar or they hate Jar Jar, but there's a myriad of examples of Jar Jar being a blundering fool, but yet in some cases he actually comes through and kind of saves the day in some ways, like because of his unassuming presence and who he is. And it just adds to that oh my gosh, here's this rock. Oh wait, he's gonna magnetize himself and fire back a bullet and save the day. And it's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm going to get a couple of my friends, and it's going to be a 3-person cosplay, and I'm going to dress as Geode, and the guy behind me is going to cosplay as a sheet of paper, and the guy behind him is going to be a pair of scissors. And so people are going to be like, did those guys really dress up at a Star Wars convention as rock, paper, scissors? But the true fans will know, holy shit, that's Geode.
Mm-hmm.
And I will
Geode always wins.
and see, you could write the CRL on Geode.
I was just going to say that. I'm like, don't forget that you will basically be 501st because you'll be the bar for the Geode cosplay at that point. So
and my number, like, it's like you got TK like 42821 or something. I'll be G1.
I mean, it's like, wow. I'm surprised somebody hasn't done it. Like, I'm not artistic enough to put enough styrofoam together and carve it like the picture that you had up with the the way it's angled and stuff. I'm sure somebody out there could, and I'm really surprised nobody has yet to go, all right, here's my submission. Geode, hope I pass.
You know it's coming. You
and
know
who's
that's
gonna
coming.
Turn that down and go, it's a rock in a book.
Yeah,
I don't have anything on this, like, other than that one picture. That's all I got. So unless the paint color is way off, you're in, man. You're in.
You've got too much quartz in there. It's supposed to look more shale. I'm sorry. We're gonna reject you.
Right.
That's clearly sandstone, guys. Come on.
We're gonna have to change that. So, yeah.
Like, how does he die? It's like, with the bad guy, like, kill him and turn him into a countertop or something.
Like, planes him down.
Yeah. I just see. It's like, I don't have the imagination to come up with a character like Geode, but I do have the imagination to, like, have fun with it at least.
Well, and you can tell the writers in the High Republic series have had fun with Geode and what they've done with him. It's just a funny character. Like, I don't know what it is, the draw is, but he's entertaining to me anyway. So, but the whole High Republic stuff has been great so far, and yeah, it's fun to get a different perspective on the Jedi, and you know, we were all a little skeptical at first, like, who's worse than the Sith, and you got the Nihil, and I'm still kind of on the fence, like, are they actually worse than the Sith? Like, they're pretty bad dudes, but yeah, it's interesting. It's a different time period, and the next phase that comes out, I think, shifts back over to, like, even before them. So Yoda's going to be even younger, and then I think in the third phase it comes back to present at the end of Starlight Beacon and whatever, and you get the last, like, chapter, the last hurrah of the High Republic. So
that brings up a good point. I wanted to say something and ask you, but Gizmo kind of beat me to the punch here. He says Gizmo says they are transported by space whales.
Oh yeah,
stop. Yes, stop with the damn Purgles, man. Don't you do it, Gizmo. We have a guest host on here. He doesn't need to hear me absolutely lose my mind over Purgles again.
Yeah, the space whales that can jump to light speed and time travel, whatever else. I you know, and it's funny because it's like Star Wars. It's space wizards. It's magic. It's mysticism. It's all of this stuff. And, like, you know, we look at I think it's easy because we look at Lord of the Rings, right? And we go, this stuff was already pre-done in a book. We've read it. We know this is what the rings do. We know these are elves exist. They have magic. We know dwarves exist, right? They're really good at fighting, hard to kill. Like, we know all those things, right? In Star Wars, we had 4, 5, and 6 with a bunch of gaps in it. And then they've kind of, like, you know, here's the prequels, and here's, you know, we had the space wizards, but here's the prequels, and here's the, now we get the sequel trilogy, and we're learning about different force powers other than just, you know, convincing people with your mind to do things, right? And in the High Republic, you're getting even more of that, like new force powers in the High Republic novels that we haven't seen. And so there's, like, constantly new stuff coming out, and they're just it's world building. They're expanding it and making it bigger, and it's growing, and it's hard. And trust me, like, I'm 43. I'm like, that's, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's like, that's not my Star Wars. That can't be blah, blah. No, like, I like to listen to it. I like it. There's some stuff I don't like. Don't get me wrong. There's some stuff I don't like. But on the whole, like, if it's new Star Wars and it's coming out, I'm here for it. Like, let's go. Like, I love getting new Star Wars. So, but yeah, it's been fun, man. I love the High Republic stuff. It's good. The comic stuff, War of the Bounty Hunters, is really good. And and there's a ton of costume stuff in the comics too. I know, like, I'm trying not to like stray too far from the costuming stuff.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
But there's a ton
That's what
of
we
cool
do.
costumes in the comics as well. And I can't think of his name. It's the bounty hunter with the he's like the Terminator. His character escapes me right now, but his like face is like part metal, his arms metal. Like
Yeah.
somebody's got to do him at some point, and put that one in, because he's a cool character. Why can I not think of his name right now?
Well, I think one of the best reasons to get into the comics or anything is if you liked Black Chrysanthemum in Book of Boba Fett, he was already in the comics 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So like they're pulling from everywhere. If you think it's cool in comics, it'll probably show up in a show.
Yeah.
There's some really good afros out there. Yeah.
A buddy of ours was the guy who did 000. He was the dude walking around. Yeah, in that amazing 000 costume. It was funny because we met up with him and we were like, because one of our other buddies was his handler that day, and we were like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, hey, it's Ken. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. Like, it looks so good. And so we sat there and talked to him for a minute. And then after we lost track of him, we go online that night and he's got these pictures posted. All these famous people had posed with him. Like, I mean, and the one that got me was I'm a big like Anthrax fan, and the drummer from Anthrax was hanging out with him. And the drummer from Anthrax even posted on his own thing. He's like, oh man, I'm at Star Wars Celebration. I'm like, I miss Charlie freaking Benante. Damn it. Like, so yeah, but you're right. I mean, the costuming, like, it comes from anywhere. And the ones that I really like, I think that are really cool are the people that kind of like, you know, it involve, like, how do I phrase this? Like, you know, we've seen people in wheelchairs dress as, like, you know, X-Wing pilots, and they make like a little X-Wing that goes over their wheelchair. So that, you know, we've seen a guy in a walker, like, as, you know, Palpatine, and he turned it into, like, you know, an AT-AT type of a thing. And, you know, I think those are the coolest, when, you know, people integrate, you know, disabilities or whatever the proper, I don't want to be un-PC, so you know, disabilities, what the proper term is, but those are always awesome to me. Those and the little kids, like when the little kids are around doing it, like, that always gets me. Like, it's just because, you know, that, you know, that's like a parent just having the time of their lives, sharing their love of Star Wars, and this kid's like, oh, you know, Dad, I want to be Princess Leia, or I want to be Rey. Like, you know, it's so cool. I love seeing that, man. That's like the best part of Celebration, besides meeting new fans and hanging out and making friendships and stuff like that. It's like just seeing stuff like that, and like, you know, younger fans, you know, like you mentioned Rebels a minute ago. You know, we're not really big fans of the show, you know, on our program, but I'm with you. Like, I love when they do new Star Wars stuff, because it's an opportunity for more people to get into it. And you know, something like Rebels, like, kids, it's a cartoon, so little kids are like, oh, you know, this is cool. So I think that's that's like a really cool thing to see at Celebration.
The one thing that I tell people all the time, and that we've said all the time on the podcast, is that, like, whatever your niche is in Star Wars, whatever you like, there's always something that you like. Even the sequel trilogies, which are a lot divisive amongst people, right? They either love them or they hate them, or they don't, you know, they like this one but not this one. And I always say, like, you can take there's always one thing that you can take from any Star Wars thing that you enjoy. If you absolutely hate all of it in that, then there's a problem, because it's all within the same world, it's all within the same realm. There's got to be something that you can take away. If you're a vehicles guy, if you're a costume guy, if you're an Imperial guy, if you're a Jedi guy, if you're a smuggler person, if you're, you know, if you're just into nature and plant life or sand, like, there's worlds out there that have those things.
Or rocks.
Yeah.
Like,
if you're a fan of rocks, yeah.
Right. There's something for everybody in the Star Wars world. It doesn't matter. So, like, you could watch a movie and go, I absolutely hated that movie, but I did like this. Like,
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, my first memories of Star Wars were Empire Strikes Back, when they're on Hoth and they pull up the binoculars and you see the giant the AT-AT Walker foot just taking a stomp down, and it's like, you're like, what is this? And then they zoom back, and it's just this massive 4-legged thing walking in the snow, and you're like, what is that? and I can watch Last Jedi and I go, and it's not my favorite. Like the last two movies in the sequel trilogy were not my favorite, but I can watch The Last Jedi and go, dude, that MT6 is badass. Like that
Gorilla
thing is
walker,
cool. Look, the big gorilla walker. I'm like, that thing's freaking cool. Like, here, how can we improve on the AT-AT? Make it bigger and make it more imposing and harder to like knock down. And I'm like, for me, I'm like, that thing's cool. There was a lot of the costuming in Rise of Skywalker when they were on the Sith fleet, the costumes on the decks, like the bright red helmets with the stark black costumes, were just super cool to see. So for me, I'm like, there's something I can find usually anywhere that I like and enjoy, and go, yeah, that was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed that part. So, but yeah, there's definitely stuff that I don't like and stuff that I don't enjoy, but there's most of the time I can find at least something I enjoy in all of it. So,
yeah, I think we've always said that, like, even stuff that we don't like, it's good that it's there because it could open up, doors to something that we may enjoy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you never know. You never know what's coming. So we'll get out of here in a minute. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah. I do have another major question for you, but we have our first ever Twitch question. So The Fire Rises 2 wants to know what your favorite Star Wars movie is. And actually, since Fire Rises might not have seen it before, we'll give ours real quick. No reasoning, but my favorite is Revenge of the Sith. What about yours, Steve?
Empire. Bad guys win at the end. It's always Empire.
AJ.
Return of the Jedi.
All right, Justin. And you can justify yours.
It's Empire for me, and it's just because of that. That was a lot of my first memories was that Hoth scene, and it stood out to me so much. I mean, the snow troopers coming in with that E-Web blaster, setting it up, like, oh, we're getting serious now. Like it's like they're like this, right? And I'm just like, okay, this is cool. But the story that went with Empire was my favorite. I would say this though, Revenge of the Sith is probably my second. That opening battle scene in Revenge of the Sith with the ETA-2s flying over with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and you don't get any dialogue, you just get that boom, boom, boom. And then the music and like they're just flying through. That is one of the best opening scenes of any of the movies out there. And that is what you would envision Star Wars to be like, where it's just this massive battle. We didn't, Clone Wars filled in a big gap of that, got more into that in the animated series. But as far as movies go, that opening, like I still get goosebumps right now thinking about that opening. But Empire for me is my favorite. So
that, to your point, the opening scene of Revenge of the Sith, I'll never forget sitting in the theater from the midnight movie in 2005 with AJ. And you mentioned the ships coming in, and when they dive over the top of that Star Destroyer, you're just like, and the scene, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like
it expanded. It expanded.
Yeah,
you were like, oh, they're just
blows
flying
you
over
away.
a ship. This is cool. And they kind of like do this maneuver and they come up over the top and down. And then there's just like 20 other ships hanging out down there and fighters everywhere. And you're just holding onto your armrest like this, like, oh, okay. Like this is what's going on. But yes, that was probably my favorite opening of any of them. So
The Fire Rises 2 actually agrees with us. He says, I'm in my 20s. Well, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you checking it out, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I think Empire Strikes Back is the best. My favorite guilty pleasure is Revenge of the Sith, and my favorite Disney movie is Rogue One. You have good taste, my friend. That's all I can say.
Rogue One is really good.
Yeah,
so
new friend of the show
Solo,
for sure.
Like it wasn't my favorite, but like Solo, as far as just a fast-paced, fun adventure, like it was cool. Like for me, I was like growing up, I never needed I didn't want to know what the Kessel Run was. I still don't really want to know what the Kessel Run was, right? Because we always imagine what it was. Like, oh, that's Han Solo. He made the Kessel Run 12 parsecs. Like, what is it? What is the Kessel Run? And then we got Solo, and they're like, oh, here's the Kessel Run. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So, okay, sure. So,
See, I liked how they did explain that stuff, but it wasn't like super obvious. It wasn't, because I was picturing the Kessel Run. He's just like goes into hyperspace. He's got extra engines on the damn thing or something,
Yeah.
But no, it was some crazy route through, all this other thing. And I just thought that movie was brilliant, the way they explained everything. And, we've been on record as saying, even little things like, the DL-44, where it's actually like a rifle, and he just takes, the long parts off and throws it to him. It's like, oh, he got his gun. Like, a Han Solo. It's like, even that, like, as cheesy as it is, it's cool. Like, the things they chose not to explain were pretty cool. So
when you get the character development of Han Solo, like why he is who he is, and when you see him in A New Hope, because he got backstabbed and he got his heart broken.
Yep.
Like, I'd probably be the same way if that happened to me. But that's why we learn who Han is. But yeah.
Well, AJ, I think you had a question, and then I have a question, and we'll let Justin go since we've taken up a lot of his time already.
Hey, I could talk Star Wars for hours. So
we got to have you on again and get into the movies now that we're really on a. We'll just have like a round table and just totally go off, man. But so.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Justin, man, with like we haven't directly talked Star Wars, you and I. Like we just talked over Facebook and then got on the show. And man, your insights into like your views on the saga and like what it means to people and how, people can connect through it and all that. Combined with your appearance, I think I've got a cheap cosplay for you. I think you need a fedora and a Pittsburgh Penguins hoodie, and just don't shave for like a week. And you've got your Dave Filoni nailed.
You really could. You really could.
I've thought about it a couple times. Is just doing the beard. I've going on like 3 days now, but I do have a nice little salt and pepper coming in here. I could, I don't know that I can let my hair grow out that long, but I've thought about the hat, the cowboy hat a couple of times, and doing the jacket and doing that. I love seeing Dave Filoni whenever I can. He's got such a good storytelling mind, and we had an opportunity to meet him in at the Orlando one in 2017. When we were down in Orlando, he was doing signings of a Bo-Katan print, and there was only like 100 of them. So like it popped up on Facebook, and my buddy and I are like, they start at 10:30. I'm like, dude, we're not doing anything tomorrow. We're going to go and get in that line. We're going to stand there from the time that we get there at like 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever it is. And we stood there, and we weren't even the first ones in line. Like there was already like there was about 15 people in front of us. Yep.
Yeah, you got that nailed.
There's a cleaned up Dave right there. That's probably more the passable one for me, I think, is the cleaned up Dave. But yeah, he was super nice, super cool. I got a signed print, got my picture with him. And that's one of those celebration memories that you're gonna have the rest of your life. And then I was wearing a Commander Wolf shirt, just the wolf head on it with it was like a black long sleeve. And my buddy and I he was walking like behind the main stage area in Chicago. And, we were like, oh, hey, Dave. And he like stops and he looks, he's like, oh, and he just, he pointed like this. My buddy got a picture of it. Not me in the picture, but it's me he's pointing at with the shirt. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So, but
see, on our show, we actually hate him.
Oh, do you?
Because we're Cleveland Browns. We're Cleveland Brown fans, and he's a Pittsburgh guy. So F Dave Filoni.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding.
In hockey,
and he created Purgles.
Fan, so I'm not even a. Don't get me wrong. I'll cheer for the CBJ because they're in Columbus. But before they even existed, I grew up a Rangers fan. So for hockey, that's my team.
Yeah.
So
before we jump out of here, man, first of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
If you're into it, we definitely would like to have you back on, and like I say, let's dig into the movies together. I mean that man, you're right. I could have kept going for a couple hours once we got into that, but the one thing that we did not touch on, we did not get into your podcast. So why don't you tell us all about your show? And then, plug anything you would like so that people can go find you guys, on the Outer Rim Beacon.
Yep. We are the Outer Rim Beacon. You can find us anywhere on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and any of those. We do during normally like the TV stuff, we'll do like live streams on Friday nights. So if they release it Wednesday, we'll jump on and do like a live stream on a Friday night. and just kind of chat about it. We try to stay away from spoilery stuff, so we won't like get on and talk about it right away before people have had a chance to view it.
Sure.
We like to think that the podcast is pretty family friendly. So if you've got kids and you want them to check out Star Wars stuff, you can have them join the show. It's myself, Kyle, Josh, and Maggie, who we get together, we talk Star Wars. Right now we're in we just finished up the most recent High Republic book. We just released that review. We're about to dive into a Rebels rewatch because I think it was like on all of our minds as we're getting into Celebration for some reason, and with Ahsoka coming up and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, anywhere on social media you can find us. You can find me on Twitter at I am the Bendu. If you guys want to follow me, you're more than welcome to. I don't post a ton of stuff on there just because I'm pretty busy with kids, but
don't worry, we're terrible at that as well.
I do share stuff every once in a while. Bendu's one of my favorite characters. I know it's weird, but for some reason I like physical embodiments of the Force being represented. So like there's the Bendu, there's obviously, the 9, the sisters, with the masks and stuff that Yoda visits. I just think it's kind of cool that there are things in the Star Wars universe that don't represent a light side or a dark side, and they can do whatever they want and based on their reactions. Like they try to be teachers and mentors to people, but when they don't do what they're supposed to do, they're willing to, go, all right, well, peace out, I'm leaving, or I'm going to smite you and take you out. Yeah. So, but yeah, so anywhere you want, social media, we're on all the podcast things, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, any one of those. You can find us Outer and Beacon, and we'll be at Celebration. We've got some swag that we'll be passing out at Celebration too, so we'll hook you guys up with some swag when we're there.
Perfect. Yeah, we definitely got to hook. We definitely got to hook up for that. So, God, less than 2 months, man. But yeah, well, Justin, thanks again for coming on, and thanks to all you guys in the chat for hanging out. Joseph Friend showed up late, but good to see you, man. The Fire Rises 2. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for checking out the show. Our buddy Mark Thrasher, Gizmo, Kale McLeish, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Don't forget, we are right back here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook in 2 weeks at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can find the Nerfherder Council pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts. And if you are watching on YouTube, do not forget to click that like and subscribe button so that you can find out exactly when we are going live. So until next time, I am your host, JT, at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ.
At Drake Adams, 579.
He is Steve.
At Nerfherder Steve.
And he is Justin.
I am the Bendu right here.
Nice. And we will catch you next time, guys. Thanks a lot.